Remember when the James Harden trade happened and a lot of us really had no idea what was going to happen when James Harden would inevitably play his former team? Well, that matchup is tonight as the 76ers are going to be taking on the Brooklyn Nets, and honestly, I'm very excited to see this matchup. I mean, on paper, this matchup should be like a blowout for the Sixers because the Sixers are one of the best teams in the East right now, and the Nets aren't even a playoff team. Now, I know as the season's going to end with Kevin Durant back, the Nets are hopefully going to get back to normal and eventually make the 8th or 7th seed, but realistically with this matchup, I think most people would take the 76ers. However, this isn't your normal regular season matchup. This is going to be game of the year in my opinion, and I think this is going to be a very just overall interesting and close game that goes down to the wire. So in today's video, I thought I would talk about all the storylines and straight up what this is going to mean for both teams in this video. Now, of course, before I get into the content, you guys can leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel if you're new and notifications on. I'm trying to hit 100k on this channel by the end of the year. Second, and most importantly, I'm going to be streaming live on Twitch, twitch.tv/Spex. Now, it's not your normal stream. We're going to be doing a watch party of this game. If you want to tune in, it's going to be around 5 o'clock Mountain Standard Time on my Twitch, which obviously will be in the link in the description below. With all that being said, let's get into the video. Today's video is brought to you by Manscaped.com, but we're going to talk about them later on in the video. I want to start off this video by saying that I was a very big fan of the trade when this went down because I knew that both sides would win. However, it seems like that only one side really took the W. In my trade video, I talked about stuff like, oh, the Nets are getting Ben Simmons and when he's playing, he's good. On top of that, Harden didn't even want to play for them. So you basically traded for an all-star caliber player that when he's playing is going to be very good. However, we don't know when Ben Simmons is going to be playing. And I really wish he was playing because this is something that I think a lot of us would have wanted us to see. I mean, who doesn't want to see the Nets vs Sixers on top of Ben Simmons playing his former team? I mean, you got Danny Green taking shots at Ben Simmons saying like, oh yeah, we all know he doesn't like to play in Philly. And he literally said this right when he got traded, acting like y'all weren't teammates for a whole ass year. Like, shut the fuck up, Danny Green. Now, even though Ben Simmons is not going to be playing, I still think this is going to be a very good matchup. I think some people have wondered if there's any animosity on the side of James Harden, and well, in a recent interview, I'm not exactly sure if there is.
Facing the Nets mean anything extra to you? It's that you just turn the page and...
Yeah. I mean, I'm here. What do you want me to do?
So while James Harden isn't publicly saying that he has a lot of animosity towards this team and that this game is not going to mean a whole lot, it's just basketball, there's one detail I kind of forgot to tell you guys because I just found out about it. But it turns out that Ben Simmons is going to be sitting on the bench during the game, which a lot of you guys might be saying, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? Except number one, the game is going to be in Philly, so you know Philly fans are going to be very toxic to Ben Simmons. And number two, Ben Simmons is probably going to talk a lot of shit on the sideline, and to be honest, I'm here for it. I do expect guys like Joel Embiid to go off because, well, Joel Embiid is an MVP candidate. Also, what do you guys think the odds are that Ben Simmons doesn't get a tribute video? If the Sixers put a tribute video on the big screen, I promise you every Sixers fan is gonna be booing out their goddamn mind. Now, I've talked about the Sixers a lot in this video, and obviously this was kind of the main point. However, let's discuss the Nets. Because even though the Philadelphia 76ers are technically the better team, and I think it's not even close to this point, I think the Brooklyn Nets are actually gonna fight in this game, and there's a good chance I think they could win. But before I talk about the Nets, let's hear a word from today's sponsor. Now, before we get into the rest of this video, hey y'all, this video is sponsored by Manscaped.com, the #1 brand for men's grooming and hygiene products. Manscaped has a variety of products, and one of my favorite has to be the Lawnmower 4.0 with 7,000 RPM and skin-safe technology. Now, I've been using Manscaped for about a couple months, and I gotta say, I've been very impressed with their products. In fact, I've been incorporating a lot of their stuff into my shower routine. One of my favorite things about Manscaped is the fact that their products are unisex, so anyone can use Manscaped products. They also do have stuff for other parts of your body, for example, like their 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. They even have body wash, like they have all the products you can need for your shower routine. Like I said earlier, I've been using Manscaped's products for about a couple months ever since they sent them out to me, and I've been very impressed. Now, if you guys do want any products from Manscaped, then make sure you guys go to manscaped.com. The link is in the description below. However, if you do want to save some money, make sure you guys do use code Spex for 20% off plus international free shipping. Guys, that is code Spex for 20% off plus international free shipping. Thank you so much to Manscaped for sponsoring this video. Before I even talk about the Nets, can we just talk about the fact that Kyrie Irving had arguably the most efficient 50-point performance, and literally no media outlets were talking about it except Stephen A. Smith that said, and I quote, "Kyrie Irving's 50-point performance made me want to throw up." Now, yes, I know there's context to it, and he's saying, hey, you know, I wish Kyrie Irving wasn't a part-time player, you know, because if he wasn't a part-time player, then this is the version of Kyrie Irving that the Nets would have, and therefore they would be better. At least that's how I would have said it. Y'all know Stephen A. Smith ain't saying nothing like that. I think a lot of people know why they're not talking about it, but I'm not going to get into politics. But as I did say earlier, the game is going to be in Philly, so this is a game that Kyrie Irving can partake in. Kevin Durant's going to be playing, so you know that's going to help, and everyone else in Brooklyn. Now, this team is currently the 8th seed, and if they do go on a little bit of a winning streak, they definitely could bump up to maybe the 6th or 5th seed. However, I'm not exactly sure if they do want to play the Sixers in the first round. Now, if Ben Simmons is playing, then I'm a lot more confident in the Nets than before. However, I don't think it's going to change much. I'm not going to lie, if the Nets beat the Philadelphia 76ers, that will be the biggest upset of the year by far, because the Sixers were the duo that was supposed to break the NBA, and I do think playoff time they will be the best team in the Eastern Conference. On the contrary, I'm not sure how confident I am. See, people talk about the fact that Ben Simmons choked last year in the playoffs, and while you could say that one play is on him, let's talk about the fact that Joel Embiid has been known to choke in the playoffs. No, Ben Simmons, as he said, was used as a scapegoat, and I didn't agree with that because a lot of people knew that Embiid choked. In fact, he missed crucial free throws in certain moments, but we forget about that. Mind you, Matisse Thybulle would go 1 of 2 with those free throws, but they still got points out of it. And in the last 3 minutes, it was still generally a close game, so this wasn't all Ben Simmons' fault. But we're not going to talk about that because Joel Embiid chokes in that game, and no one wants to bring that up. Granted, if the opportunity came where I had to trade Ben Simmons or Joel Embiid, which is something that a lot of people thought could happen in the offseason, I'm trading Ben Simmons, no questions asked. It's just that the Philadelphia 76ers never have that much success in the playoffs, at least when it comes to winning a championship. If you want your cap to be getting out the 2nd or 3rd round and almost make it to the championship, fine, this is a perfect team to do that. However, I would assume most teams actually want to try to win an NBA championship and not just almost make it. But hey, what do I know? When it comes to the standings, realistically, this doesn't mean that much. The Sixers and the Nets will remain at the 3 and 8 seed, and for all of that, we have to wonder, if the Brooklyn Nets can move up to the 6th seed and the Sixers stay around the 3rd seed, what do you guys think would happen in a playoff series? Mind you, we're going with the possibility of Ben Simmons playing in the series, which I think would be very interesting and would definitely be the most exciting series to watch. I don't know if I would say this game is a preview of what we could see in the playoffs because there is no Ben Simmons. However, it is kind of a preview to a point. Like I said earlier, it's a game versus one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference to a team that has been struggling a lot in the Nets. However, when you make the biggest blockbuster trade in the NBA this season and everyone on the Sixers for the most part just starts talking shit about Ben Simmons when he's literally going back to Philly, the state that absolutely hates his guts, yeah, I think it's definitely going to make for a very interesting game tonight on TNT. They ain't paying me to say that, but hey, I could use a bag. I said this in the intro, but I'm going to remind you guys again, if you do want to see a watch party of this game and me talking about everything that's going on, then it's going to be on my Twitch, twitch.tv/Spex around 5 o'clock, which is 30 minutes before the game starts. I'm going to end off with this. Don't be surprised if Joel Embiid puts up 50 points and James Harden has himself a 30 bomb. On the contrary though, don't be surprised if Kyrie and KD go off. In the grand scheme of things, this game means absolutely nothing, yet to both of these teams, this definitely does mean something. But most importantly, this is everything to a 6'10" man that's going to be on the bench, recharging for the fact that we might see him in the playoffs. I know people are clowning Ben Simmons, saying he's scared and all these other things, and honestly, maybe he is scared. However, do not be surprised if Ben Simmons plays his best basketball in round 1 versus former team, because revenge is a motherfucker.